Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Wilson, and today we are looking at the amendment process and the Bill of Rights. Our Learn It is I can explain the amendment process and the reasons for the creation of the Bill of Rights and its importance. Our essential question is, what is the purpose of government? And you'll see below there a little some text that says Bill of Rights video. You would have watched that before coming to this presentation. So the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments to the Constitution are called the Bill of Rights. Well, what is an amendment? Amendment is a change to the Constitution. When our Constitution was first written, there were many Federalists that believed it was fine just the way it was, and nothing needed to be changed about it. There were anti-Federalists, however, that believed without a list of citizens' rights, this Constitution would not succeed, and they would not sign the Constitution until a list of citizens' rights were added, and that's what we're talking about today, the Bill of Rights. And the purpose of our government with regard to the essential question really is protecting our individual rights. That is their job. That's their number one main job, is to protect our rights. And when those rights are not protected, or they are abusing those rights, as King George did under colonial rule, it is the right, as Thomas Jefferson said in the Declaration of Independence, to abolish or change the government. And that is their main function, to protect our individual rights. And the Anti-Federalists believe that unless those rights are specifically stated, specifically written out, as opposed to just assuming that the preamble covers all of our rights, or that the Constitution covers all of our rights as they are, that government could kind of abuse your rights. They could change what your rights were because they weren't specifically stated. So if we don't say that you have freedom of speech, and it isn't specifically stated in the Constitution or in an amendment, then the government can pretend it didn't know you had freedom of speech. And so the Anti-Federalists said they simply were not going to sign the Constitution unless these Bill of Rights, these changes, were added. And that's what we're going to look at right now, is really simply the amendment process. In order for an amendment to get added to the Constitution, it has to have the approval of 2/3 of Congress. So 2/3 of the Senate and 2/3 of the House of Representatives have to say, yes, this is a valid amendment and we want it to be added to the Constitution. But it doesn't go to, it isn't immediately added to the Constitution. Actually, then from the Congress, it goes to the 50 states. And if we wanted to add an amendment today, 50 or 38 of the 50 states would have to approve it, or 3/4 of the states. Now, this process is made intentionally difficult. Only 27 amendments have been added to our Constitution since 1791. That's intentional, that it's made difficult. And the reason being, our founding fathers did not want people to get caught up in emotions and, overwhelmed by emotions or changes that are happening in society, and then they really quickly want to change the Constitution, because once it's changed, it's really difficult to unchange it. And so they wanted the process to be difficult so that the desired change could thoroughly be investigated, and make sure that it's not being done on the fly or on a whim, that there's really a valid reason for changing the Constitution. And so it was made difficult for that purpose. And once 38 of 50 states approve of an amendment, it becomes part of the U.S. Constitution. So let's look at our amendments, beginning with number 1. Probably the most well-known amendment of all 27 amendments added to the Constitution. So the First Amendment goes like this. It guarantees the freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. The mnemonic device RAPS can help you to remember those 5 parts of the First Amendment. This is the only amendment that has a lot of parts to it. So R for religion, A for assembly, and I see that these are written out of order, but you'll just have to bear with me. P for press, P for petition, and S for speech. So this amendment means that we all have the right to practice any religion we want to. We know that's pretty important. Was important among our founding fathers. It also means we have the ability to speak freely. This is an interesting component to the First Amendment because, yes, we have the ability to speak freely. However, that does not mean you can stand up in a movie theater and scream at the top of your lungs, fire, or there's a fire in the building, and do that jokingly. If you're doing something like that for a joke, the result may be, or the consequence may be, that you have a lot of people that start to get out of the building. And in that process of trying to get out of the building, they injure one another. They stampede one another. People may actually die as a result of being stampeded. Things like this have happened. We don't need to look any further than Black Friday after Thanksgiving, when people are standing outside in long lines for hours and hours at Best Buy or Walmart to get whatever the new gifts are that are presents that are or items that are on being sold for really cheap, and people stampede through those doors to get to those items, and people do get injured. Sometimes they die, and so yes, you can speak freely, but when it brings injury to somebody, then that's when your freedom may be called into question. The right to assemble or to meet. So you can peacefully assemble or protest something. That doesn't mean you bring, that you try to injure people or you bring weapons and try to do harm or anything like that. But we all have the right to protest. That's as old as the beginning of our nation is itself. And so that's kind of born out of our the beginning of our nation, centuries ago. You also have the right to address the government. If the government makes a law that you think is just, silly, is stupid, whatever, or unfair, you have the right to petition that government. So a petition means you want to complain about something, you want to bring attention to a bad law, and you need to get a certain amount of signatures from people that think the same as you, and then you present that petition to your if it's local government, you can petition the local government to change something that they passed, and you present that petition to the local government, and they can put it up for a vote, and if the people decide, yeah, this is a bad law, it can be removed. So we do have the right to petition to address government about things that we disagree with. We also have the right to freedom of press, and press back in the day meant newspapers, but today, of course, it means TV, radio, internet, social media, and so forth would fall under this headline, I believe, as well. So the First Amendment. On your paper, you'll be filling in the missing information for freedom of religion, freedom of press, and freedom of speech, and you see some pictures that are associated with those freedoms. The ones that are missing are petition and to peacefully assemble, but we'll just, for our purposes, just focus on these three. And of course, stop the video at any time so you have time to type that in on your note page. The Second Amendment protects the right to bear arms, which means the right to own a gun. And so that is one of the most famous amendments, and of course is another right that was born out of the American Revolution, where when the British troops marched on Lexington and Concord to seize all the weapons in the arsenal so that those weapons could not be used against the British troops or the British government. And the Second Amendment, and that's why the amendment was written, was to for the people to protect themselves against a government that becomes abusive of their powers. not necessarily for people to hurt one another, but to protect themselves against an abusive and authoritarian government. So you would fill that in on your note page as well. The Third Amendment is no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Now, this amendment is actually handwritten on the second page of your note page. There's nothing for you to write in yourself, but just be aware that an amendment was made to address the fact that, or the grievance that our founding fathers had against the British Parliament and the King when they forced British soldiers into people's homes, and the colonists had to shelter them. And so this amendment protects us from our government ever forcing soldiers to be quartered in our homes. The Fourth Amendment protects the people from unreasonable searches and seizures. And so if your home is going to be searched, a warrant is necessary. Somebody can't just, police can't just break into your home without having a search warrant or without reasonable suspicion that something is going on, or search your, or your car. They also need your permission to search your home if they don't have a warrant. So the Fourth Amendment protects us from that. It also means that government cannot take our property, paper, without a valid warrant or probable cause. So on your paper, you would fill in the missing information. No unreasonable search and seizure. The Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment protects people from being held for committing a crime unless they are properly accused. You may not be tried twice for the same crime. So if you've been tried for a crime, let's say of murder, and found not guilty, if new evidence appears showing that you were guilty, that you did in fact commit that murder, you cannot be tried again for that. They may try you on something else related to that particular crime, but they can't try you specifically for murder. You also have the right to not testify against yourself in court. So, and you may have heard, the right to remain silent. That's what this is. You don't have to say anything at all to anybody that might get you in trouble. And so you have the right to keep your mouth closed and not speak or say anything that would incriminate yourself. So what you would write on your paper is listed here, and there's a few things that you would fill in on the second sheet of your note page for the Fifth Amendment. So no double jeopardy, no forcing people to be witnesses against themselves, no punishment without due process of law. And another part of the Fifth Amendment is that if you have private property that the government wants to build a nice mall on, or to build an interstate through, or something like that, they can take your land, your private property, to widen a road, or to build a mall, or to build a subdivision, but they have to pay you fair market value for that land. And if you've ever seen the movie Up, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because that's kind of the basis of what that movie is about. I'm going to end this video right now because I'm running out of time under this 15-minute time limit, and I'm going to begin another one. So bear with me.